Maria Lucero. I work for the Erie County Fair. I'm the ticketing manager. And I think really just to give you a grand scope of what our fair has been in the past prior to 2021, we are a 12-day county fair that runs in August, and we have an annual attendance of 1 million people. With that comes a lot of food vendors, a lot of concessions, a lot of animals, a lot of people. So when we started looking at what our 2021 fair was going to look like, we knew that we were absolutely going to have to make a lot of changes going into that fair. And I think one of the first big changes that we really saw that needed to happen was the way that we did ticketing. So that first point of contact, that first experience for the guests when they come to our fairgrounds was our ticketing.
So I'm Holly Smazinski, the marketing manager at the Erie County Fair. And some of the other things that we worked out this year, just because of what was happening, was no charge for parking to try and eliminate some touch points at the ticketing piece. And when they arrived, we changed the layout of some of the vendors to help widen the aisles so people didn't feel like they were in a mass area of people. And some of the vendors, some of the change too was we had less vendors due to product shortages due to the pandemic and staffing shortages as well.
I'm Becca Lickfeld. I work for the Erie County Fair and I'm in marketing. Another difference between past fairs and this fair experience was the fact that we had 80 some days to plan for the 2021 fair.
I'm sure that our client service rep, Matt, would say this, is that it was a constant pivot. It was constant conversation, talking with him about what can we do, what can't we do, even if we just look at our grandstand events. So not only do we have our general admission, but we have paid grandstand events. So we moved from having to do pod seating to being able to open our grandstand at full capacity.
And our biggest pivot in marketing was no print items. Traditionally, we print 75 to 100,000 brochures that we do a direct mail for, and we put in brochure stops across the thruway of New York State. And we also print an 8-page style piece, about 400,000 that gets inserted in our newspaper. And we also printed 17,000 daily sheets a day to give them the schedule of events. So we pivoted all that to digital elements, including all the marketing ads. We went social, we went digital, we did IP targeting, social matchback, more dedicated to digital advertising.
When we originally were looking at our online ticketing for the fair, we were going to have to do pick your day. We were going to have a cap of about 75% of what we normally host on a typical fair day. And as many of us experienced, that changed very rapidly within, I would say, 10 days. And by 80 days out, we were saying, all right, so we don't have capacity limits. We're going to do online ticketing only, but you do not have to pick your day. So it changed very rapidly. And so moving to digital tickets was a decision that was made by staff and our board, because we wanted to make sure that if at some point in time we needed to do any sort of contact tracing, if we needed to make adjustments to our fair and what that was going to look like during the 12 days, we wanted to be able to have contact information for every single patron that was coming onto our grounds. I think that MPV features, improved and allowed people to use things like Apple Pay, Apple Wallet, Google Pay, be able to purchase their tickets and then house their tickets. We did not use the Apple Wallet or Google Pay feature as far as housing those tickets for the 2021 fair, but moving forward, it was one of our lessons that we definitely learned that we would definitely take advantage of. And honestly, for us, the reporting that we get from ProVenue is so robust. It gives us so much information, and the talk about a little bit later, but even from the scanning standpoint and how easy it is for us to be able to get those reports at a moment's notice whenever we want them at our fingertips. Those are super important to us in our event. And even if if it would have came down to like our county government saying, you know, how many people do you have on your fairgrounds right now? We could legit give them a decent estimate of what we think could possibly be on our fairgrounds. So those are, for me, some of the tools. And I think, you know, when we talk about services, for me, the service that I get from client service rep and from Tim. So Matt and Tim have been a huge help. They provide a huge service to us, and we always have on-site support before and during our fair to make sure that everything is set up. And that's a huge peace of mind for me going into the fair, knowing that I don't have to worry about certain things because that's provided, and it's a great relationship. So those are things, that partnership, that's super important to us.
So in the past, we have sold tickets at a retail outlet. So we have Tops markets in our area with 170 locations that patrons were able to buy tickets at before. So with us switching to online, we had to pivot with our partner Tops and see how can we still drive some store traffic for them. So they did a bounce back offer. So there were 4 offers that we put an ad for Tops on the confirmation email, and it linked to 4 coupons that they could use before the end of August. So that was a good redemption. They had a couple thousand redeemed at Tops, and it was the first time they've had that happen. So folks could either print the coupon or bring a digital version to the stores.
We had messaging that we had to get out. One, that our fair was actually happening, and another was that ticketing was all online. And utilizing tickets.com marketing, it helped us so much digitally, especially with keywords, SEM, SEO, organic posts that were done through tickets.com Facebook page. There were sponsored posts so that we were able to reach more of an audience that may not follow the fair. The slider image on tickets.com homepage, so that if patrons did actually go directly to tickets.com, they would be able to see that.
And even, you know, tickets.com sending emails out to past purchasers of tickets within a certain radius for us to be able to grab some ticket sales.
Being able to customize the messaging that was going out to our patrons post ticket purchase. So being able to customize our confirmation emails to make sure that for our fair to be successful in the online ticketing to be successful. Like I said before, to the support on-site and off-site. So whether it was our technician that was here on site during the fair, pre-fair, or if it's our client service rep, that type of support for us, again, is just super important. The training that they provided me to be self-sufficient when it comes to handling whatever technical issues we might have, or being able to pull the right report, always super responsive, being able to get back to me within just a few minutes, and being able to work through some of that stuff is very helpful for us. Fantastic. They never failed us. They're super easy to navigate. Our ticketing staff was able to look up barcodes if we couldn't get them read off the phone, if it was in dark mode or something like that. They never went offline once for us, even in the grandstand when we were having cell issues. And that's what we use for Alfred in our grandstand. They never failed. Our cell provider failed, but our scanners never did. Working with Alfred has been really great. We had our first taste of it in 2020 during our Festival of Lights. I would say it was kind of almost like a trial period for us to use them. And so most of the staff was able, our full-time staff who doesn't usually deal with any of the ticketing or any of the scanning or redemption, got to really see firsthand how those scanners worked and how functional and how easy they are to operate. So we love them.
Not everyone is ready for digital. People don't like change. So I think also coming from a customer service standpoint, just willing to help people and understand how they see things, because I can look at something and I'm like, okay, well, this is the flow, it's gonna work great. And somebody will be like, oh, well, I'm confused. Like, how do I access this? So the ability to adapt and see things through other people's
As we
eyes.
continue to talk, as we're preparing in these meetings, we look at the 2019 fair and the 2021 fair, what worked, what didn't. Some of the elements that we implemented because of the pandemic, I mean, they could last for a long time. They were good lessons learned. So, and how do we better reach our patrons? So we're going to look at, those options for 2022 as well, with the IP targeting, remarketing and social matchbacks are big pieces that we're going to look at for this year.
A ticketing perspective, just being more prepared from a customer support standpoint, being able to implement the Apple Wallet and the Google Pay as far as a place to house people's barcodes. Our Wi-Fi and our cell service on our grounds at peak hours was difficult. So, looking at different options, working with our IT department and preparing more for that and having something more robust that can hopefully handle some of our customers a little bit better when it comes to pulling up those ticket barcodes. Those are a couple of things from a ticketing perspective that I think are high priority for me and how I'm going into 2022 and preparing for that fair.